Welcome back to Egg, Ammo, and Adventure, where the stories are tall, the meat is local, and the beer selection is almost as impressive as the hunting lies we tell around the campfire. This is Steve Larson, your resident meat doctor, prescribing another dose of Iowa flavor, outdoor wisdom, and whatever else we can get away with on a weekday. Today we're sitting down with Doug Alberhasky, third-generation owner of John's Groceries in Iowa City, a true Iowa institution and a place that's been fueling Hawkeyes, hunters, and hopheads for decades. If you've ever grabbed a six-pack before a tailgate, stocked up for deer camp, or wandered the aisles wondering how a single store could have that much character, you've probably been to John's. Joining me as co-host today is Trevor Coffell, University of Iowa student, longtime family friend, and a kid who grew up running around my house just enough to know better, but not enough to avoid this podcast. He's here to keep me honest, ask the smart questions, and maybe teach us what the younger generation is thinking these days. We're talking tradition, small business grit, Iowa City history, and the kind of stories only a third-generation shop owner can tell. So settle in, Liars Club. This one's got more flavor than a tailgate crock pot. Welcome, Doug.
Thank you very much. You know, I've been called a beer doctor before, but I've never met a meat doctor. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Well, and being in Iowa City, I am a 3-time graduate in Ames.
Okay.
So I don't want to bring this up. I know that we did pretty well in football, basketball, and wrestling.
Especially this year. Oh my gosh.
We're not always on that end. So just let me revel in it just a little bit. We lost our coach this year, 3/4 of our football team.
Yeah.
Let's see what next year brings, right?
It could be good. It could be really ugly.
Yeah.
I will guarantee this, that there will be a lot of alcohol drank at Iowa State games, no matter how good or how bad the game is, right?
Yes.
Well, Doug, tell us about yourself. We're at John's Grocery. You grew up in Iowa City. How did John's Grocery get started?
So my grandparents started back in 1948. The room that we're in dates back a century before to 1848. We're the oldest continually operated business in Iowa City. When Grandma and Grandpa opened, there were 28 other family-owned corner groceries in Iowa City, and we're the last remaining one. I started here when I was 6, working alongside my dad, Grandpa John, Grandma Irma, aunts and uncles. In our family, we had a tradition: as soon as you could see over the counter, you're hired.
Did you get paid?
I think it's in baseball cards. My son, JD, I think he was 9 months old when he started in his first television commercial. We stopped doing the television commercials when he said, "Dad, if you ever want me to do this again, I'm going to want that Lego block Star Destroyer." And I'm going, we're done. I'm not dealing with
The cow got too high priced.
Yes.
That kid knows his stuff. That's like $150.
Oh yeah. He's a very wise. I taught him well, but yeah. So I worked alongside, the family, over the summers. I would, just hang out with Grandpa, or Grandma. And I really started full-time, like in the summers when I was like 14. Went to the University of Iowa after graduating from City High. 2 years in, I had a fork in the road. It was either become a history major because my math grades weren't quite as good as they should have been, and accept a commission as a second lieutenant in the Army. I'd had 2 years uncontracted ROTC, or work at John's. And at that particular point in time, my dad caught 5 of our staff stealing. And so the decision was kind of made that I would work here. At that point, I think my first paycheck was 128 hours for 2 weeks. And my dad said, "Hey, we're going to put you on salary." I'm, "Oh yeah." "Oh no." Yeah. And just kind of went from there. I am married somehow.
Still,
yeah. Have 2 kids. They both kind of grew up in the store. I've done a lot in the community. Optimist Club, junior achievement teacher, PTO president. I was a scoutmaster for 14 years. Had 41 Eagle Scouts in my tenure, including my son. Went on all sorts of high adventure trips. Was the council president for the Hawkeyes Council Boy Scouts of America. Was a baseball coach from 9U up through when my son was a senior at City High, and they actually this past year won state for the first time, and he was the catching coach, which was pretty awesome. And then, started the Iowa City Brew Fest. This will be year 30. And then in 99, my wife and brother and I went over to Europe. We called it Doug and Mike's Drunken European Adventure.
How'd that treat you?
Oh, it was amazing.
So you would do it again?
Oh, in a heartbeat. Yeah, in an absolute heartbeat. We started in London, took the Channel over to Belgium, drove all over Belgium, went to Switzerland, Munich, Austria, and ended up in the Czech Republic.
How long was your trip?
It was 16 days. My brother and I cataloged like 130 some beers.
Favorite?
Oh, favorite.
Nation, go by nation.
Yeah, so probably in England, it would have probably been the Fullers, and I don't know if it would have been the ESB or they had a special there that was just absolutely brilliant. In Belgium, I'd probably have to say Chimay Blue, because we actually went to the monastery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a Trappist monastery. Yeah. When we went to Germany, on that trip, we didn't go to Weihenstephan, but it's the oldest brewery in the world, dates back to 1040. And actually, so in 14 years, even if my son has to push me in a wheelchair or my head is in a pickle jar with a robot body, I'm going there for their 1000th anniversary.
When will that be?
In 14 years in 2040.
40.
Yeah,
Oh.
2040. Yeah.
Oh, you won't be in a wheelchair by
I hope not, knock on wood. But then the Czech Republic, probably, oh boy, I would say it's one that we have, that we sell a ton of, Praga. It's the original Budweis from Česká Budovická. It's the beer that August Busch first stole the Czechs.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, that was an amazing trip. And we visited our ancestral home, saw the church where my great grandparents were married in.
What country?
In the Czech.
In Czech. Yeah.
Yeah. And we got hooked up with a gentleman through a customer that we gave him our family genealogy, and he traced our family roots back to 1700.
No.
And it was so cool because we got to this tiny little town where our family was from, and they were kind of having a town party. And Yuri gets up on the roof of his Skoda, completely caves it in. But he goes in Czech. He goes, your friend or your relatives from America are here to party with you in Czech. And it was just such a warm welcome.
That does sound cool.
Yeah. And so we came back, and my brother and I did a presentation up at the National Czech and Slovak Museum and Library. And that was kind of the first rendition of Brunost, and that's something that we've been doing with them for years. I think this will be year 24 for that.
Oh, wow. So that means you're Bohemian?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. We're sitting too close, Trevor.
Yeah. So in Iowa City, the Bohemians settled in Goostown, which is on the north side of Market Street. So our family hasn't left the neighborhood in 8 generations. And, they called it Goostown because one of the traditions they brought over from the old world was that everybody had geese around. I mean, they were attack animals to guard the property. They laid eggs. If times got tough, they were dinner.
Yeah.
And you could pluck them and you had feathers. So geese were running all around. But then, in the middle portion of Iowa City, it was the English and the Germans. And then south of Burlington Street were the Irish, and the English hated everybody. They were either Episcopalian, some Quaker, but mostly Methodist. And then the Germans hated the Bohemians. Nobody liked the Irish, but what brought them all together was beer. So
that's what I was going to ask you. Did beer bring? I mean, that was the equalizer.
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah.
Everybody could sit down at a table over a beer and.
Yep, exactly. And it was amazing because back then, beer was life. You can trust the water. It had bacteria in it that could get you sick or worse. So, we had 3 of the production breweries, and 40 bars for 7,000 people back in the 1850s. And, so some things haven't changed.
True that.
Well, so thank you for your service. Got that. So appreciate that. And it sounded like initially you didn't know you were going to come work at the grocery market.
Yeah.
until college changed, or
Yeah. Correct.
college gave you that fork in the road.
Yeah,
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. So growing up, it was my dad and my uncle were our managers. My dad would work days one week and nights the next. So I never saw my dad half the year.
Oh, wow.
And that was one thing I didn't want to do to my kids. So, I wasn't quite too sure about that. And I was going to pursue a business degree, but
And not do anything with John's, right?
yeah, well, I mean, it was one of those things that, it was kind of like a fallback plan.
Yeah.
But you look at that sign there, our store hours on Sundays, we're open 8:30 to 1 and then 4 to 10:30. And I always ask people, why the donut? And that's because that was the only time that the family could actually get together for dinner.
Wow.
No kid.
Yeah. And growing up, my dad had 6 other brothers and sisters, and they would have to take vacations in shifts. So one week, Grandpa would take kids 1, 3, 5, and 7, and they'd go someplace. And then the next week, Grandma would take kids 2, 4, and 6. And that way everybody got the same experience going to the same place.
Yeah.
But, we had to stay open.
I never thought about that with like a family owned, like
Oh, yeah.
deep, like rooted in there. So
Yeah.
then when did you guys start incorporating like other employees besides the family?
Well, so when I really started managing, I transferred from Iowa to Kirkwood. And they had at that point a 2-year food store management degree. Oh, it took me 7 years to get that. Yeah, we one class at a time, but
You're practically a doctor then.
you're a doctor. Yeah. I can write a prescription. I've got to run for pharmacy. Yeah, so it was just one of those things that as time went on, I knew that how we had done things in the past wasn't going to continue to work. So I consistently pushed for more efficiency, for putting in procedures and systems to be able to check. And, we've had some absolutely amazing staff. We've had some staff that, it's kind of, when I fire this person, is he going to assault me? It happens, when you hire in haste, you make waste. But,
Well, I was always told staff put a smile on your face. Sometimes when you meet them, and then sometimes when they're walking away.
yes. Yeah. Addition through subtraction. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, we've had an amazing staff over the years, and it got to the point where we couldn't do what we were doing with the old method. We had to come up with something new. And that's kind of where I started. And, luckily Grandpa and Grandma and Dad, gave me the ball to run with it. And, we implemented a lot of changes. I mean,
So they were good with change. They weren't rigid enough.
They knew that we had to adapt. And that's the one thing about being in a small business is, the big guys can't keep up with us. We're that small little nimble running back.
Yep.
We see the hole in the line before anybody else does, and we get there. We listen to our customers. We try to stay completely ahead of the trends, and the other guys just can't keep up with us.
That's really hard to do.
It's
like, that's really impressive. Like every single time I come into John's is like, there's always something new on the shelves. Like,
yeah.
And like, if you walk around like on the side, and like what I'm looking at right now is like a big Grove like table right there. There's always something like,
I think we've got like three different tastings going on right now. So
it's very hard to do. And it's you guys are doing it really well.
Yeah. But it's also about like the relationships with our vendors. I learned early on that it has to be the win-win-win-win philosophy. When the customer leaves happy and satisfied, they've won. And only when that happens, do I win? Do my staff wins? Does the distributor win? Does the manufacturer win? Everybody has to win in that equation. If they don't, then I shouldn't be doing it.
Wow. So what has changed the most since when you started here as a kid till now? How has it evolved that you probably would have thought as a kid, I'll never see this?
I think 2005 was a huge time because at that point, we had to handle beer and move it like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, really?
We distributor would bring it in the basement, and then we'd either move it into the cave, into our outside pike cooler, faces a panel delivery van on wheels, or into our cooler, and then the customer would grab it from there. And we had like 44 employees because there was just so much labor involved. But that's when, people were making $365 an hour. And as time went on, I said, this is just, we can't keep this up. So in 2005, I did, I've done a bunch of different huge construction projects in my life, but we built the new beer cooler and I flip-flopped the beer room and the wine room. And I made it so that the vast majority of the beer would come in, it would go directly into the cooler, and we don't have to touch it. And that was such an efficiency game changer that it really marked, being able to not only survive, but thrive. Hardest decision I ever made was, I think, like 4 years ago. We got voted the best fried chicken in the state of Iowa. This room here was our deli kitchen. And no kidding. Yeah. So the fire marshal said that he could no longer grandfather in our hood vent and fire suppression system. And that was going to be like $60,000 to redo all that. And there's no way that it is ever going to be able to recoup that. And after COVID, the business just didn't come back.
Oh, yeah.
So, we decided to shut that down to go out on top with our chicken. I almost starved to death a couple times. But yeah, and but without this room, we never would have been able to make the movie because so much of the things for the movie happened because we had this space.
I would love to ask you about time during COVID, if that's all right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how was it? I mean, like, knowing that there's always been an influx of new college kids coming into Iowa City, did that support you or did that worsen it?
Well, so during COVID, we got by because of our community.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Again, being the small guy, we had a meeting, I think, Friday the 13th of March was when COVID kind of hit. That day, I remember having a powwow with my senior staff. And, we came up with plans A through Z. Z required snipers on the roof.
Yep. Yeah.
But
you didn't know he was going to work, right?
No,
So you had to come with every option.
Yeah. And we quickly went through plans A through F. But the thing that I was so thankful for is I saw this coming, and we normally, for our grocery wholesaler, we'll get like a quarter to a fifth of a semi. That week, we got an entire semi-load of
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so we had toilet paper, we had pasta, we had everything. And, you never want to be the one that they make the rule for, but for our distributor, they basically throttled everything back because, John's Grocery did this and we're not going to let anybody else do this. But we had the product. And so when all the big box stores were completely out of things, we had it. And we were able to pivot enough. My senior staff, they would come in the morning and kind of get everything ready. And then it was kind of on me and a couple others to work from, like 10 to 6. And so we really throttled back our hours. I remember like the low point was one of my staff had gone home to see grandma for her birthday and ended up her cousin got COVID and most of my staff just said, we're not coming in for a couple days. And I remember a Saturday when things were starting to get kind of better, and at least for the college students, everybody, was just sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
So I got to work by myself. My son was away at college. He was on the baseball team and they got quarantined, so he couldn't leave and all that. I forget. I think my daughter was sick, so it was me, and that was the low point. And I think at that point we got down to like 9 employees, and it was hell. But because we had so many amazing customers, and we were doing a lot of call-in, just we'll take it out to your car. We were able to manage it, and that's that flexibility that being small can have. So,
has some things changed permanently because of COVID or COVID?
Yeah, I would say that we're finally starting to get back to pre-COVID levels for tourism.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Because there are a lot of people that travel, and since we've been serving now, 4 generations of customers, we get people coming back in. Obviously the deli being gone is probably the biggest one. But I think a lot of mentality, especially from being in scouts, we went from like 4,600 scouts when before COVID, and I was president during COVID. And my big claim to fame is we didn't die as an organization. But now I think we've got like 1,200 scouts.
Went down that much.
It went down that much, yeah. And I hate to say it this way, but people got lazy. Because in my Optimist Club, in so many things, there are so few people saying yes. Sure, I'll help, and people just kind of, they got used to just not being part of the community. And there are so many youth activities, so many organizations that are really struggling to get people in. And, like our Optimist Club, we do the Christmas tree sales down on Riverside Drive at the Dairy Queen. And we do flying breakfast. And, these are things that have been going on for generations. And if we don't find a way to get more people like you, the younger generation, to say, yes, I'll help out with this, then we're screwed. And then those things die. And
there's no coming back.
Yeah.
Once they die.
Your kids will never know the joy of going to pick out a Christmas tree from the Optimist Club. And by the way, all the money goes to youth charities from our Christmas tree sales.
Yep.
So your kids will never know that, and it just goes away. And so that's why, no pressure at all.
Oh my God.
We meet on Wednesdays at the Pizza Ranch by Fin and Feather. But,
write that down, Trevor.
Yeah.
That's when they meet.
Yeah.
That's why we asked Trevor when we're deer hunting to pull all deer for us, because he's young and they need to say yes, practice saying yes. And
Yeah.
Working's not, and we're older. We need all the help we can get.
Yeah, we're like helping the elderly on the side.
Oh, yeah. That's but I resemble that remark sometimes, but yeah.
Well, what are you majoring in, Trevor?
I'm currently in a criminal justice program at the University of Iowa.
Cool.
So
Congratulations.
thank you. So it's pretty interesting. Sophomore right now. So getting my last don't feel elective. So now we're getting into like crime trends and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And Trevor's a twin.
That's nice.
and bonus fact,
Right? Yeah.
I actually never tell anybody I have a twin.
What?
I usually say I have a sister, and then like usually once they get to know me, I'm like, yeah, she's actually a twin. And then they like force me to like pull up pictures of her Instagram and saying like compare. Like I sit there, they pull up her Instagram on.
Do people say you look like your sister or your sister looks like you?
People think we're just like brother and sister. Like they don't think we are like twins at all. We're just like, but like it's a pretty cool fact. I like to bounce around with people.
That's good.
So next generation,
Yes.
your kids, your brother's kids, are they interested in?
So my son is full-time here.
Is he? All right.
Yeah. So he graduated from Central College in 2023. Right after that, I took him over to Europe for the congratulations and condolences tour. Congratulations, you have pretty much completed all your schooling. You don't have to do that anymore. Condolences, because your ass is mine now for the next 10 years. You got to work, right?
Yeah,
and then after that, we'll flip, and my ass will be yours until I can't do it anymore. But yeah, so yeah, he's been great, and just learning the ins and outs, and trying to really show him just not only John's, but I also own a bunch of different properties. So I have a property management company and a storm removal company, and just, trying to do all those.
Does he want to get involved in all of it then?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, it's a little daunting at first, but I think he'll grow into it.
I'm just sitting here asking, what haven't you done? Like you have traveled Europe, started programs.
Yeah.
Is there like anything you want to do next, or any places you want to visit?
So, with the movie, one of my big dreams is to do a cross country in the U.S. Movie tour, and then the next year after that, go over to Europe, and because they never had Prohibition over in Europe, so I think that would be fascinating to be able to go to a bunch of small towns, to breweries, to be able to show the movie, and because our movie is basically the forefathers of all the modern brewers.
Not just in Iowa City or in. So let's talk about the movie a little bit.
Yeah.
What's the name of the movie?
So it's Death of a Brewer. It's an immigrant's tale. It's a love story. It's an espionage thriller. It's based on what really happened in our neighborhood back in 1884, where the brewers known as the Beer Mafia battled the Sons of Temperance, and it resulted in beer riots where the prosecuting attorney for the temperance side actually was tarred and feathered. And
Hard and Feathered.
yeah, it's a horrible
In Iowa City.
Yeah, yeah. And then two of the star witnesses for the Sons of Temperance almost got hung. And you think that you get in trouble for that, but one of the brewers, his name was J.J. Englert. He was the dad of the guy that started the theater downtown. J.J. was on the city council and eventually elected to be sheriff of Johnson County. So in Iowa City in 1884, you could almost kill 3 guys and still become sheriff. And
That was like crazy. Like that is crazy Iowa City lore right
Yeah.
there. Yeah, it is ridiculous.
and so much of this history has been buried. You know, did you know that Brewery Square used to be
No, I didn't have a single clue when I came to Iowa City. Like I only places my mom told me to look out for was John's Grocery and the library. So,
Your mom is an alumnus.
my mom and my mom's dad both went to Iowa.
awesome?
And they both came here pretty frequently. So it's really cool to see it still here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What'd they get when they were here? Do you remember?
Bunch of crap probably. Alcohol.
Yeah. No. So my uncle. So
But you didn't have a brewery, right?
no.
Okay.
But my uncle had a beer distributorship.
Okay.
So the Union Brewing Company, which still stands, Brewery Square, originally was opened by Anton Geiger and Simeon Hotz. Their brewmaster was a guy by the name of Conrad Graff. Conrad Graff ended up marrying Simeon's daughter. When Simeon died, Anton was already out of the picture. Conrad put his entire life savings into buying the brewery from his wife's parents' estate. Then Prohibition comes. And the temperance movement actually cheats in the vote, and it gets ugly. Afterwards, the Prohibition got struck down by the Supreme Court. The brewers keep going, but, damage was done. Conrad eventually gives it to his 2 boys, and so it becomes Graff Brothers. When full prohibition comes to Iowa in 1916, 3 years before nationwide prohibition and the 18th Amendment, they decide that they're going to pivot to making soda. The problem was in the brewery, the soda keeps fermenting. So they actually developed seltzers before anybody else did. So they end up moving up the street to right north of Hamburgen on Lynn Street. But so the Graff Brewery survives Prohibition by turning into the Graff bottling plant. And then my uncle kind of buys those remnants and turns it into Graff beverage.
Okay.
And, he sold old style. So we sold more old style here than they did in Chicago.
Do you want to explain to me what old style is? Because I have literally no idea.
So fully Kreuzen in God's country, in La Crosse, Wisconsin, old style is an old German recipe. Kreuzening is a way of lagering the beer. When our ancestors came over from Bohemian, Bavaria, they brought with them the tradition of making a lager beer. To lager is to store it cold, deep underground in caves, and the fermentation and finishing process takes about a month. Breweries all over the United States had caves like this, and, when I discovered that we had ours, I was just completely enthralled. But
We'll get into the Iowa City case.
Okay. I didn't even know that either.
Yeah. So he had old style, but he had Samuel Smith, he had Watney's, he had Guinness, he had Chimay, he had Paulaner. He had some of the best beers in the world. And the unique thing about Iowa City is that so many people have traveled abroad. And when you've been to Munich, when you've been to Brussels, when you've been to London, you get it. And you come back home and, John's has that beer.
Yeah.
And so every time you have that beer, it takes you back to when you're sitting in the Grand Plaza in Munich having a beer, and this is an amazing.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes total sense. Definitely cool.
Yeah.
Well, so does that make John special? Like, do you have the biggest assortment of, I don't know, non-traditional beers in Iowa?
Yeah.
I'm using that phrase.
Yeah. No. So back in 2005, one of the main reasons why I decided to flip-flop the beer room and the wine room and make the new beer cooler is we were, because of an antiquated state law that, after Prohibition, it was up to each state on how they would handle alcohol. In Iowa, the state retained control of selling liquor and wine. So up until 1986 for wine and 87 for liquor, as I do believe, there were state liquor stores. So if you wanted to buy a bottle of Jägermeister, you would have had to have gone to one of the 2 state liquor stores in the Iowa City area to buy that, because we couldn't sell it.
That's crazy. So it's owned by like the state government.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And to this day, the distribution is still ran by the state of Iowa Alcoholic Beverage. So our distributor is the state of Iowa for all the liquor in the store.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for beer, they said, beer distributors can handle beer, but there's some fine print. Anything over 6.25% alcohol was considered liquor rather than beer.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's a long story, but eventually the state kind of said, oh, beer distributors can't handle all these big beers.
Yep.
So we started having to buy them through the state of Iowa Alcoholic Beverage Division. They were very bad at their job. We're from the government. We're here. I don't.
No comment.
No comment. No comment.
But it was great in the fact that I got to go directly to the importer to order beer.
Oh.
So normally it would go, you have the brewery that has their sales reps that call on the distributor, which has their sales reps, which call on the retailer. I was skipping all those things. I was going straight to the importer or the brewery. I was ordering the beer. I was then CCing the state of Iowa saying, hey, this is my order this in. And we would get from an importer their entire portfolio.
Really?
I've got a picture, and I can show you later. It's of our cave downstairs. And at one point in 2005, I had to remortar one side of it, and we had to heat it up because it was normally like 35 degrees. And I knew that I was never going to see this room empty again. So I took a picture of every single bottle and can of beer that we had at that time. All About Beer magazine did an article, and they highlighted the top 79 retail beer stores in the world. And they used pictures of our beer room in their main spread. And when the Press Citizen called up the managing editor of All About Beer, the managing editor of All About Beer said, yeah, I think John's going to make it in the top 4.
Ooh.
No kid.
Yeah, so 4th in the world, I'll take that.
Yeah. That's really cool.
And according to a couple of our Belgian importers, there was only a couple places in the entire earth that had a better Belgian beer selection than we did, and they were all over in Belgium.
So you have the largest Belgian beer selection
at that point
in Iowa?
In Iowa for sure. But at that point, we had the best Belgian beer selection outside of Belgium. And it was because I was dealing directly with all these importers. Now, fast forward to 2010, for an Iowa brewery to make any beer over 6.25% alcohol, they would have had to have made it, shipped it off to Ankeny, where the state warehouse is. They would have shipped it to me, and then I could have sold it back to that brewery to sell. Yeah.
That sounds inefficient. I know. It sounds like a lot of not a smart guy. Established I'm an Iowa State grad, but that sounds that efficient.
Yeah. So I remember having a conversation with the owner of Dahl Distributing in Des Moines, the Budweiser distributor. And at that point, Goose Island was huge. And Bourbon County Stout, we were in the first place outside of Chicago to sell it. John Hall, the owner of Goose Island, was an Iowa grad. His son, Greg.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Really?
And so we had had a really good relationship, and we were selling a ton of Bourbon County Stout, buying it through the state of Iowa. And I went up to the owner of Dahl Distributing, and I said, so how's the Goose Island sales going? Oh, man, it's selling great. I said, it must really burn you that we're selling all this Bourbon County Stout and you're not making a dime on it. I'd be kind of pissed at that. Are you pissed? And he goes, yeah, I'm kind of pissed. And it was after that the wholesale beer lobbyist group got on board with getting the state out of the high proof beer business. And that's what allowed Big Grove and Barntown and Confluence and Exile and Topping Goliath, all of these amazing breweries, and in a little bit of
flourish.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, circle of life type sort of thing. But so many of the brewers for those great Iowa breweries, they grew up drinking the best beers in the world here at John's Grocery. And that's why, we got such a late start at it, but everybody was at such an uber high level of their brewing excellence. And that's why so many of our Iowa breweries are constantly cleaning up awards for national competitions, because they're making some of the best beer in the country because they grew up drinking the best beer in the world from here.
That's amazing. I'm learning stuff like I actually have no idea what happened.
Hey. Stick with me.
I'm serious.
Maybe you should have a part-time job here.
I love to work here. It'd be really cool. Yeah. I'd totally be down. But I have another random question, not even associated with what we're talking about right now. So for me personally, as a 20-year-old, so I recently just found out there was a tornado that went through Iowa City.
Oh yeah.
How did that affect John's Grocery at all?
So I lived
2006.
2006. Yeah. I live 6 blocks down. That night, my kids and wife had just gotten home. They just barely beat the tornado. As soon as the tornado had passed, I hopped in my truck. I came down here to make sure that the store was okay, because I we were listening to KCJJ. The damage was huge,
Widespread, hasn't it?
And
What year?
it was 2006.
Was it 06?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I remember, okay, I've had a really long day. It was a Thursday. It was a grocery truck day. I'm going to head home. And I went down Jefferson Street, and there was so much debris in the way. I said, okay, well, I'm going to go down Iowa Avenue. Went a block south, and there was even more destruction. And I went, oh, crap. So I came back to the store. I got a skid loader here that I would unload our grocery trucks with, and I had a bunch of log chain. And I went down to the fire station, and I said, where do you need me? And they go, Rochester Avenue. There's gas leaks all over the place, natural gas, very combustible, very, very dangerous. So I went down Jefferson Street, moving trees, dumpsters, all that stuff. Got to Rochester Avenue, a couple blocks away from my house. There's a big group of people, and somebody had their chainsaw bound up in a tree that was blocking the road. So I came up, lifted up on the tree a little bit, take the pressure off. And it was one of my best friends, Michael Mathis of Goose Town Painting. And he was coming in to check on me. Oh, right. Yeah. And so we ended up working the entire night. I remember I never knew that fire trucks have great big PA systems on them. So I was going along, and I went down a small road, and there was a garage in the middle of the road.
Wow.
And this fire engine came in behind me, and they go, we need to get down the street. Can you please move that? So flip. And we end up working for about 8 hours, 9 hours that night, just moving stuff. And then the next day, I found out that we took damage on my grandparents' house and 4 of our rentals. So I ended up putting on 5 roofs in 7 days.
Oh.
And for my house, our electric service was kind of pulled. It was still attached, but it was pulled off the side of the building because our neighbor's garage ended up in our backyard.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we never heard it. We, at that point, lived in an 1896 house now my son owns. But the next door neighbors heard the freight train coming through.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. And the fact that nobody died that night because there were so many college students that were just going, oh, wow, look at that.
I stayed outside looking.
I can't imagine it
Yeah.
these days. I mean,
well, and
idiots out there.
It really was. And the thing that was most poignant about that was there were so many signs out, especially on like Iowa Avenue and Governor Street and stuff. Don't gawk, help.
Yeah.
And, I remember my grandparents, they lived on Jefferson Street at the time, and they probably lost like 20 some trees in their yard.
Oh, wow.
And I was up on the roof doing a temporary repair till the shingles got there. And I saw this group of guys, and they all had chainsaws. And before I was able to get down off of the roof, they had cleared the entire alley so you could actually get through. And, like when the derecho came through in, what was it, 2020?
19 or 20, yeah, when you came in our house in Folk City.
Yeah, and I mean, we had some damage here in Iowa City, but I took my skid loader, and a buddy of mine took his skid loader, and we took my entire scout troop up to Cedar Rapids and Marion, and we just...
They got hit hard, didn't they?
Oh, the destruction was unbelievable up there. And we just worked for a couple days.
Oh,
and, there's...
Wow. Wow.
There's things that you just got to do, and you got to help your neighbor out. Yeah, and that's one thing that my grandparents taught me at an early age, and it's just ingrained.
Hey, right?
Yeah.
So earlier you talked about caves.
Yes.
Is the proper terminology beer cave, wine cave? And you got one under here, you said, right?
Yeah. So the cave that we have under here, and they are beer caves.
Okay.
At one point, the main portion of our store, which was originally a horse-drawn firehouse off of the IOC Fire Department to guard against fire for the 3 breweries in the block. When they moved the fire station downtown, it became a bar. And I've got a picture from 1899 showing the front of the store and the interior of the store. And at that point, technology had evolved to a point where kegs were actually coming in from Milwaukee, from the Pabst and Miller breweries. And so this was a Pabst house. So you could only get one type of beer, and it was
this was?
Yeah. This was actually the grocery store at that point, this room and our wine room. And so being a tied house where the brewery or the bar was actually tied to the brewery, you could only get a Pabst ribbon. And so the cave downstairs was kind of built to make it so that they could get basically a train car full of beer in here on a weekly basis. And they didn't have, because transportation was still kind of messy at that point. But they had figured out how to refrigerate with ice rail cars so that they could get from Milwaukee to Iowa City.
Is that the same rail system that they're using like today in Iowa City?
Maybe. So we have the Krandic that goes from Iowa City to Cedar Rapids, and then Cedar Rapids then goes all over the place. So I would think so, but I'm not 100% sure.
They just wake me up at night.
Yeah.
You're not used to it yet?
No, not.
Yeah. But yeah, so, and then Erlanger beer that Dubuque Star made for a number of years originated right across the street at the Great Western Brewing Company. And their motto was Erlanger, the beer that made Milwaukee jealous. And that was a direct quip because the owner of the bar here at John's, George Buffoon, only served Pabst Brew.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that picture behind you of our family, that actually replicates the 1899 photo. So my son kneeling is actually the dog in the 1880. So
that's awesome. So one thing we do on the podcast, and nicknames is a big thing. Sure. Did you have a nickname growing up? But you've experienced a lot and done a lot. You had to have a nickname.
Yes, absolutely. This president's not really cool.
Is it repeatable on the airwaves?
Well, it is a character from, we're talking about movies, 16 Candles.
Yeah.
My nickname was Donger. And I'll never forget one of my best friends in high school. He bribed our dean of students, and one of the last days our senior year, he came in and he had pretty much the same shirt, the same OP corduroy shorts, which were really huge in 1987.
Yeah.
He didn't have as much hair on his chest, so he actually had some shag carpeting that he put on his chest. And he bribed the dean of students, and he said, and today is Doug Daughter Day. And my physics teacher, first period with Jeff and a couple other friends in class, said, so Doug, what do you think of your day? And I said, I think somebody's going to die.
Is that how you got the nickname then?
Well, I'm not sure exactly how, everybody had nicknames. And,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Trevor, did you grow up with a nickname besides, the hunting group calls him Bruno Mars, ladies. So,
Bruno Mars, Pedro Pascal.
well, so we do have one emailer, that knew we were going to be here, the big hairy Sasquatch from Southern Iowa. He wanted to know, what's your number one sales here besides liquor or alcohol?
I would say
My frequent thing up out here is limes and lemons. Because I don't want to drive all the way to Hy-Vee or Aldi and stuff like that. So-
sure, yeah.
And John's is right here. Basically, if you think you can probably have it, they probably have it in
Yeah.
John's. Like,
Yeah.
Well, let's make it easy. What about alcohol? What's the number one thing you sell, beer and wine wise? Maybe liquor.
So Easy Eddie
Easy Eddie.
would be beer. I would say for liquor, probably Tito's. I'd love to be able to say Malort, but it's not quite there yet. But we're trying. But getting back to the original question, I would probably say like some of our pizzas.
Oh yeah, snacks. Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
I can see that.
College
Sure.
student studying. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll never forget when I was courting my wife. She lived in one of the sororities, and I was the coolest guy because after Sunday, they had their big full house meeting. I would call my wife up, and I would get the Ben and Jerry's order, and I would go over Sunday night at about 10:25, and I would have like an entire huge box of Ben and Jerry's, and then I would sit and watch Star Trek: The Next Generation on Channel 9 with all these girls, and I'm going, life's pretty damn
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
goodness,
yeah,
you got it pretty easy.
Yeah, and it wasn't until the FDA came out and said that you had to put nutritional labels on them, and then the Ben and Jerry's went.
Yeah. He's just been their hero on this. Good old
it was-
Sunday.
it was
Oh
great.
my
Yeah,
God.
it was great. Yeah.
I want to put in a plug for the guy who run the register. When I was walking around, he one guy in here was looking for some tequila, and he showed some really nice bottles behind the register
Yes,
up on the
yeah,
shelf.
yeah,
And
yeah. That's my son, actually.
oh, was it? Yeah. So he did. The guy bought it. Says, you did a heck of a job upselling me because I'm going to buy that bottle of tequila.
All right, that's what we like to hear. Yeah. So growing up in the business, you learn by osmosis sometimes.
Yeah.
And when I think my son was like 2.5, every Monday was JD Daddy Day. So wherever I went, he went with me, and he just picked up on things. And he was I'll let you tell the story, but 6 years old, first grade, Tiger Cup for the big popcorn prize. If you sold, like $2,500 worth of popcorn, you got a Nintendo Wii.
Oh, there you go.
He was all over that as a prize.
Huge.
And he wanted to set up a booth outside the back door to be able to sell popcorn. I said, well, you can, but this is all on you. I'll be there, but you got to talk to people. And, he's talking to everybody coming in, and this gal comes up and in a squeaky little voice in his Cub Scout blue uniform, would you like to buy some Cub Scout popcorn? And she goes, oh, honey, I'd love to, but I just don't have any cash. And with the skill of a trained assassin, he said, and this is something that we'd never talked about before, but he goes, well, we got an ATM right inside the back door. And she goes, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Better for him. Yeah, getting early.
Yeah. So, there are just certain things that you just kind of learn through the netherworld that,
Wow.
yeah.
Good for him. Well, we could talk all day. We're getting at the top of the hour. When's the movie going to come out, and where can somebody watch the movie?
So that's a really good question. We are still in post-production.
Okay.
We still have a little bit of work on the director's cut. Then we're going to reconvene, and we're going to do some B-roll, some insert shots. I've made a water cannon that will fit underneath of a full wooden barrel, and I'll probably be the one running the axe, because like in the actual movie, all the axes are foam because you can't have real things. But I'll be actually using a real axe, and I'll hit the top of the barrel, and then poosh, and the water cannon will go off, and it'll look like the beer, which is under pressure in the keg, is exploding. So we have to do things like that. We still have to do VFX and CGI work. And then Mina Savari is going to do our voiceover work. She's one of our main characters. So we're close. I'd like to say that by the middle of April now, we'll be wrapped and have picture lock. But then it all depends on who buys us, or who then decides to partner with us to distribute us, to then have somebody buy this.
Yeah.
So it could be that we get nationwide theatrical release, could be limited theatrical release. It could be Netflix. It could be iTunes.
It's open, right? I mean, I don't know.
There's so many different things. So I know that we're going to do a public premiere at the Englert, and then we'll have kind of our after hours at Big Grove.
Well, keep us posted.
Yeah,
we can have distribute. And if you need 2 extras, I know a couple guys that would love to just sit behind the scene to drink beer. If you need 2 extras, in party is just drinking beer.
That's
that may be a long line of people, but
I mean, everybody wanted to be drunk guy number 3. Drunk guy number 1 and 2. There's a little bit too much pressure, but number 3, everybody was all in.
And we're free. We don't charge anything, right?
Cool.
So we're good.
Yeah, my son's role, he was puking guy number 1. So though he had to actually put in the I think it was split pea soup. So he had to hold it in his mouth and so a little too much information. I'm sorry, but the magic of movie making is truly magic, and it's something that I never ever want to do again.
What?
Well, it was so much fun,
but that was
so much pressure.
Yeah, I'll bet. Right? Yeah. I know everybody in Iowa City knows where John Groceries is. If you're outside of Iowa City and don't know about John Grocery, how do we get here? What do we need to know?
Yeah, we're right on the corner of Market and Gilbert Street, right by the University of Iowa campus. Come in on the Dweek Street exit, go to the 3rd stoplight, take a left, take another left, and we're right on the right.
Nice. Trevor, what do you got? Anything to close for us?
John's Grocery is a great place. I mean,
you're hired.
I was excited to come to do this. I love this place. I mean, it's like a really cool place. Been here for a long time, and that's all you can really ask for from a small business.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, big thanks to Doug for taking us deep into the history, heart, and controlled chaos of John's Grocery, a place that's been keeping Iowa City hydrated, fed, and happily overstocked for 3 generations. If you didn't love John's Groceries before this episode, you probably do now. And if you already did, well, Doug just gave you a few more reasons to stop in on your way to the tailgate. Shout out to Trevor for stepping in as co-host today, proving once again that the kids who grew up around my family can hold their own at the mic just as well as they can at deer camp. The man spent enough seasons listening to us swap deer hunting stories that he knows exactly when to jump in and when to let the old guys dig their own holes. And of course, a huge thank you to Rachel, who produces the show with the steady nerves of someone calling shots at deer camp while the rest of us are arguing about who actually shot the first big buck. She keeps the whole operation on track, trims the chaos, and somehow makes us sound like we know what we're doing. Another big shout out to Pablo and the poor decisions for the music that keeps this podcast rolling. Their sound hits harder than the first cup of coffee at deer camp, and smoother than the perfect shot at sunrise. If you got stories, tall tales, or a memory from John's Grocery that deserves airtime, send them our way at eggammoadventure@gmail.com. We want to hear the Liars Club is up to out there. Until next time, keep your coolers full, your stories questionable, and your traditions alive. We'll see you next on Egg, Ammo, and Adventure. Woo! Thank you.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, I learned so much.